Hey guys, welcome back to Black Clover Mobile. So in today's video, we're talking about Season 3 and which unit free-to-play should pick up. Now, we've known from leaks for a while now what Season 3 will be, but we finally had the official announcement. This is over on the Thai Twitter for the game. They always do everything a little bit earlier, so we do have that like 100% official confirmation there. So we are getting Charlotte, Fuegoleon, and Jack the Ripper. Now, first of all, can I just say, if you're pulling based on appearance of these characters, I absolutely hate Jack and Fuegoleon's designs. These I just find it so bad. So I mean, Charlotte's the one, and let's face it, Charlotte's probably going to be the one for the most people. Fuegoleon does have a bit of use. I think these two will have a little, like a decent bit of use in the meta currently. In what I think global meta will go to. Jack, I just think Jack's kit is not. It's got pieces that look really good when you read them on their own as a part of a kit, but the whole thing together just doesn't work for me, and the dude just looks so stupid that I can't even bother with it. But honestly, I feel like they've done Jack bad in this game. I don't like his the way they try and make him play with both of the versions of him so far. I just really don't enjoy it. But let's go through it. So I think Charlotte is one of the main ones you're going to look to pick up. Now, Charlotte is a very interesting one because she has a few things, but she also gets so much better with investment. And I was like, for me as free-to-play, if I could free-to-play get her completely maxed with Page, it'd be so huge for me in the current state of the game. But I know I'm not going to do that. As for should you summon on this banner, I'm going to do that whole thing in another video because there's more thoughts I want to like consolidate before I go into that video. But this is more looking at, you know, if you don't have one of these units if you do summons, which I'll talk about summons in a future video, like I said, like which one should you pick up from the gateway? So let's go through it. Charlotte is great. So her ult and her basic attack both apply counterattack. Her ultimate, when you max skill it, it gives it to all allies for one turn at 100% activation. At 0 skills, it's only 60%. Her basic attack will apply it to the ally with the highest attack for one turn, which is honestly decent for a basic attack. I actually do like it. And then her skill is going to give all allies 40% increased all attack. Now, this is really nice. When you look at doing some of those nuking stages, for instance, level 7 of the boss, a lot of people are nuking the first side using Ghost for that all attack buff to buff Raya. Because if you don't have that, you know, you'll get the attack buff from your Finral. But if you don't have that all attack buff, you can't really stack his stats that higher unless you use a magic attack buff, but you're not getting that additional stacking of the attack. So having an all attack buffer is going to be nice, and I think she's going to be good for those PvE situations. Now, on top of that, if we get her Page, we then get total defense for one turn. Now, that is huge for me, especially when we consider the fact that if we look at her stats, her base speed is 126, so that's equal fastest with Vengeance. Now, this does require dupes, and that's why I said if I could have her maxed out, it'd be huge. You know, at dupes, like that becomes huge because you can have her go first, you can apply that total defense plus the attack increase, meaning your team's going to survive, but they're also going to hit hard once the rest of the enemy team goes and takes their turn. So I think this is huge, but like I said, to do that play is going to require skill Page and also max dupe to get the speed up, and it's just not completely viable. So let's look at what she has if we don't have those things. If we don't have her duped up and we don't have her Page. Like I said, her Page is going to be fantastic. If you do some summons and pick it up, grats, it's a nice Page. But the thing is, so this is her duped up passive, gain 1 skill point when attack. That is nice. But this one is great anyway, which is your LR passive. When all allies belong to Technique, which is the blue, inflicts silence for one turn on the enemy team at the start of battle. Now, this is really clutch in a lot of situations because silence means they can't use their skill 2. So at the moment in the current meta, the two things that the main thing that's been really frustrating of late in the current meta has been Julius using skill 2 first up. His ult is not a threat because you can just bait that with a tank, have the stun immunity on them, and then like it's just useless on enemy defense Julius. But the biggest nuisance is when Julius uses his skill 2 first, and this sort of locks enemy Julius out of that, which is absolutely fantastic. Also locks enemy Noels out of using their shield, which is actually really synergistic because the easiest fights I have against enemy teams that have Julius and Noel is when Julius uses his ult and Noel uses her ult. It's the easiest way to play around it because then you can just like straight up cap them both, and it's not even an issue. So I think for this reason alone, you can run her in teams, full blue teams, when we consider that the meta is mainly blue besides Noelle, obviously, but you can use that as a decent counter, and I think this alone will give her some PvP viability, and then this will give her PvE viability for those boss stages where you need a new card, especially if you didn't pull if you didn't get the Ghost, because no one got Ghost from the whatchamacallit, the gateway. Anyone who has him lucked out on a summon, and that's where they got him from. So, you know, having that capability to get the increased all attack is going to be useful in certain situations. Plus, the counter attack in PvE is pretty nice. Combined attack is fortified, but we're not really looking at that too much. But like I said, I think Charlotte is a very, very safe option to pick up, and she's probably the one that I will go for. I just think this thing in itself is just too much to pass up for me to test out in the current meta, and that's what I'm looking at. So next up, we're going to go to Fuegoleon, who I also think will have an impact in this meta for some people. When we look at his kit, basic attack has burn, skill 2 inflicts burn on the enemy, and we also dispel barriers before attacking, and this one isn't too bad at all. Like, it's nice because we get that removal, and then if you have his page, we get the extra burn. But we're not going to look at it like you have page. We get the burn. Then his ultimate is AoE, which is really nice considering this one's a single, but this is only a 2-turn cooldown, which isn't too bad either. But this one's going to be an AoE, and it's going to deal increased damage based on the stacks of burn. Now, he also has the passive that when HP drops below 30%, grants immortality for 1 turn. And this immortality is kind of what makes him usable. It's kind of like when we look at Licht. Licht is annoying because like he can hang around. You can just negate this with stuns, but I think when you look at using him as an offensive option, offensive damage dealer that basically can't die for the turn, and he's going to get something out there, I think that is going to see some usability. How crazy it will be, I don't know. We don't really have full burn teams. Like, we do have other units that burn, but I don't think it's viable to put them all in a team and make that the team. So like you could be looking at playing something like this if you had his page. You do a single target attack, put those 2 burns on, maybe you get rid of a Noelle shield or something, then you know he's going to live, and he's going to at least get towards doing this ultimate, which is then going to be an AoE, which on that main target is going to deal this extra damage. But in general, I think the base multiplier of this ultimate isn't big enough without the extra burns. So I don't know if and this is just me speculating on where I think the meta is going to go, because global meta is an interesting thing at the moment. And I think he will help some people out, but I think it's going to be more the high investment players that can get use out of him. And the more I look at his kit, the less I think he's going to be useful to free-to-play players who just have a copy and no page. So that's why I like, he's one I think we will see some use, and I think he will shift up and he will be used in offense meta, possibly even defense meta as well, because, you know, he doesn't die straight up, so he does have a chance to disrupt enemy teams, remove those shields, do all that annoying stuff. But in general, I think he will be decent, but I don't think he's going to be like completely broken or a must-have unit at all. But yeah, like I said, I think he will have an impact. So moving on from that, like I said, I still think Charlotte is the play, but the other one is Jack. Now, when I say Jack has some things in his kit that make you go, wow, that's really nice. When attacked, grants cells 20% increased stamina. That sounds nice, but you know, he's not the kind of unit, like when I look at Vengeance, a similar thing, like Vengeance just makes so much more use out of it because he has that complete supportive kit. Whereas Jack, yes, he does have a stun on his basic, which is nice if he gets around to it. He has this the way they built the Jacks with the self-buffing thing, and then you go again, it's just too slow. It's just too slow for me to get it, because if you want to use him in what he does, it's basically that you use this skill 2, you apply 1 stack of this, which is tied into what his ult does, and then he gets the penetration. And then he's got to live to the next turn without getting controlled and actually not die because he's a damage dealer. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to use this. And then we're going to perform the attack, which is going to deal additional damage to random enemies based on those stacks that he has. And then it's going to inflict stun on the main target. Like, it's just, for PvP, I just don't see this as having any viability. The only time you'd maybe use him is to get a stun off on his ultimate, but it's like, dude, like, just use Julius, and like, you don't need 2 Julius. So I just don't see this guy having a place of viability in the global meta. I could be completely wrong. Once again, this is just my subjective take. So I could be wrong on this, but I just don't see him having an impact in the PvP meta. As for PvE, you know, we've all got Julius built. Like, no one, like, I mean, he is sense. Sorry, I because of the stun thing, I was thinking that, but he is sense. But I still, even though we have any other main sense DPS? Wait, I'm trying to think now. Who have we got? Well, we got Fauna Hateful, who a lot of people are going to go for coming up. And then we got the Lictor and Riot, and most people, like, you're using Riot as your sense nuker. So, like, I don't see the place for him. Maybe people will find a use for him. But for me, like, outside of that stun and using it in a clutch situation to just guarantee yourselves a stun, I don't see it being like the most crazy thing to go for. So that is my opinion on Jack. Once again, this one I could be completely wrong, but I think the safest option for free-to-play pickup, and like the one unit that you'd want to have from these ones for a free-to-play player, is going to be the Charlotte, especially if you manage to land her Page. And like I said, with dupes, she gets super fast, but most people won't get that. But at least with this, you have this passive, which is going to be assistance to you in PvP all the time. And then you also have this, which is going to be helpful for you for doing mass nuking in PvE type content. And I think that is worth it in itself. Even if she falls out of the PvP meta, which she will, she still has an immense amount of viability to be used in other places, even if it's only situational. So that is my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.